if these infernal setbacks never end.
The revolution begins now.
I got a vibe tells me I should be sitting in on this scene for a while.
Hey, it's David K., voice of Beast Wars Megatron and TFA Optimus. You're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Jazz here, and I'm jiving to this episode of Transformation Animation featuring Mike Blanchard, Stephen C. Phillips, and Michael Wilson.
Bow, 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 bow. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Transformation Animation Podcast. I am your host, Steve John Mike, and joining me is Steve Megatron. Hello.
Good day.
Pecan Court Michael. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going, and making a return trip from Cybertron, Optimus Solo. Holy hell, how did you afford that shuttle admission?
Actually, it wasn't as bad as you thought, because I got a discount if any of my body parts came back on the wrong side of my body.
Well, what happened is you got the Priceline negotiator.
I wonder what kind of Transformer William Shatner would be.
Well, you know, they've made improvements on the space bridge recently, so I got a good deal.
Today we are going to be recapping Transformers Animated Season 1. So what's going on with you, Kevin?
Oh, good God. Well, life on Cybertron's kind of boring at the moment. Not a lot of stuff going on.
Well, it is a barren, dead planet.
Yeah,
so.
I've basically been walking around trying to find something or someone for weeks now, and no luck.
For a second there, I thought you were going to say you've been trying to find someone or something to do.
Well, that too. But no, not much going on Cybertron, sorry.
What about you, Steve? What's going on?
Oh, Lord. I didn't know how, much you can stretch yourself until you have no time to do everything. Yes, because I'm working on several sites right now. One, hopefully for money, and then, between trying to do little things at other ones. Been doing somewhat, waiting for authorization on Behind the Voice Actors contest thing that's coming, as far as what the hell's going on.
Yes.
Our Rampage for Dark Glass is MIA. I contacted both the backup and the regular, so they are officially back on the market for people to audition for. I tried that, and it doesn't turn out as well. It comes out quite bad. Yes. So on top of that, I've been on Voices.com auditioning for many, many things lately. I think I've done over 50 auditions, got nothing yet. Some of them have been reviewed, and they haven't actually finished their things. Some of them have. I'm in the middle of doing 20 more tonight. And then I'm also doing a bunch of fan dubs that are more so like audio play fan dubs based on Japanese anime, which I die in every single rendition. So I have a ton of lines and then a bunch of shrieking and getting burned up in ovens, and right now I'm doing the Black Butler series, which I had no idea what the hell it was before getting into it. And I also was doing Phoenix Wright as one of the fat old lawyers that's supposed to be nuts, so I used Master Roshi as the template. But yes, so that's what I've been doing lately. Other than that, nothing.
What's going on with the family Wilson there, Michael?
Dennis!
Haha! No. We just started fall ball, which is like t-ball, except in the fall.
Yes.
So we went out and got Aiden a new baseball bat today. He was all excited.
Nice.
Yeah. My company has already drank the Microsoft Kool-Aid. So they've been trying to prod me into SharePoint development for the last 6 months or so. And I finally broke down and went to a SharePoint development conference. So I spent the last 3 days there learning all about SharePoint development. And that's, so exciting.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah. Well, at least you had a little bit more fun and exciting stuff with Phineas and Ferb Across the Second Dimension. We talked all about that in the GCR episode.
That's right. That was, we must have watched that show about 10 times just over the weekend. and then we had the podcast about it with Ryan Mead.
Yep.
That was interesting. I mean, I hope people listen to that, and maybe we'll get
the video version that I put up on YouTube of the mashup of images with just the audio under the images. It started at like 10 views. Within an hour, it went up to like 75 views. 3 days later, it's at nearly 175 views.
Nice.
So yeah, there is that. But yeah, super fun stuff. I'm trying to sell a bunch of furniture I don't need on Craigslist. Let's see. Trying to sell these stupid books of poetry. Actually getting ready to move upstairs to supposedly what's supposed to be the best apartment in the building, so I won't be in this shithole anymore. I'll actually be in an actual apartment that I can actually unpack crap in.
That'll be good.
Yeah. Temporary living sucks.
Good times, come on.
Shut up.
Time for celebration.
Shut up.
Okay.
So other than that, not much else is going on with me, so I think we're going to take a break. You're going to hear some audio, and we'll come back with the recap of Season 1.
It's as though humans are forever at war with nature. Beauty literally falls from the sky, and they immediately rush to spoil it with their machines. They won't rest until all of nature's beauty is... Have you even heard a word I said?
Yes. Jump. 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 Yes.
So we are back, and the way that each of us is going to do this is we've got 3 or 4 or 5 different categories. We have favorite episodes, favorite characters so far in the series, favorite moments, least favorite characters so far, least favorite episodes, and then our overall thoughts.
Yeah, buddy.
Why don't we let the Cybertronian correspondent go first with favorite episodes from Season 1, just to see if he has any at all.
Oh, the first-time viewer does have some favorite episodes. The first one, which I don't have a lot to say about it, but I just liked it overall, was I believe it was episode 11, Lost and Found.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of liked it. I liked the play between Blitzwing and Lugnut. Megatron was cold and calculated in that one, and it was just a fun episode overall. I mean, it wasn't nothing to write home about, but I just liked it overall. I also liked the 2-part Megatron Rising, just because Megatron's Rising. I mean, come on. I tend to like 2-parters, and I don't know, this one was good. You had a good interaction between Lugnut and Starscream. You obviously have Megatron making his, whatever you want to call it, return, so to speak. So I really liked the 2-part. But overall, my favorite episode of Season 1, and this should not come as a surprise, The Thrill of the Hunt. And I'm sure other people will be able to talk about that one, but it just had a lot of cool stuff in it.
Yeah. What about you, Steve? What are your favorite episodes from Season 1?
I guess Megatron Rising.
You didn't write anything down, did you?
I didn't write anything down, but that's more so because I don't like Season 1. So, therefore, I'm going off the wiki for reference points.
Harsh.
And I would have to say my favorite episodes are Megatron Rising, because Megatron actually gets back into the battle.
Good times.
Yes.
What about you, Michael?
Well, I'm gonna have to go with Thrill of the Hunt for the triumvirate. Just because it's Lance Henriksen.
Yep.
And he's awesome. And we get a lot of backstory filled in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically we were tossed into this crew, and they basically say off the cuff, "Whoa, we've never even seen a Decepticon." And it's like, well, what the heck? Where'd everybody go? And now we find out about the Great War and Ratchet's place in it, and
we got a Susan Blue appearance.
Yeah, you get Sue Blue thrown in there. You kind of come for the Lance Henriksen, stay for the Sue Blue.
And like I mentioned in my when we talked about this episode, the number one reason why this is the best episode of season 1, no humans.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt. Yeah. I want to say the other episode that didn't have any humans was Along Came a Spider.
Yeah,
and that was
decent.
Yeah, well, we get Alita 1, who's insanely overpowered, and then she becomes Black Arachnia, who is even more insanely overpowered. It's no humans. So hey, kudos there. But I would say Megatron Rising, but you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Megatron's head is going to get his body back. He's been trying all season. Not necessarily that it was going to happen, in the season finale, 2-parter, but you knew it was going to happen eventually.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know, that he's going to stay ahead in a jar for, the remaining however many seasons, and then pop out just before the series ends. But no, we get him at the end of season 1, and that's good enough for me. I'll take that. Basically, I don't want to say the only ones that are any good besides that are Thrill of the Hunt and Along Came a Spider, but they're 2 of the few episodes that this season that don't introduce human villains.
Yes.
And that's kind of been the running detractor as far as what hardcore G1 fans are concerned with.
Right.
What about you, Mike?
I like the 3-part opening movie, Transform and Roll Out. Megatron Rising, same reasons. I really love Sound and Fury just because it's Soundwave. What?
I liked lots of parts of that, and I disliked lots of parts of that one.
Well, it's Soundwave. I don't care.
That part was cool. Soundwave was cool.
Soundwave, basically, he outranks any other bad part in that episode.
It would have been even better if he wasn't a kid's play toy.
Well, it was an interesting way for them to introduce him instead of just have him show up.
Yeah. It could have been like a light post, and then, oh, look, I'm Soundwave. I'm here. Where'd he come from? I don't know.
Ta-da!
Yeah, there he is. Whee! It's kind of nice how they introduced him, because it was like a master plan of Megatron. Oh, I'm gonna introduce this little guy, and then he's gonna get bigger, and then he's gonna get bigger, and then he's gonna get bigger, and then he's gonna be my new body. It's gonna be awesome. Check this out. And it basically doesn't work out for him, which is kind of cool in and of itself.
Yeah.
It's like, here's my new pair of pants. Wait, he won't let me wear them.
The pants are walking away without me. Oh, this kind of sucks. Maybe I can negotiate with the pants.
Would you like to, join up with my head and what's left of me?
You'd at least be able to control the zipper.
I used to be ahead of my time.
Get in my belly.
Oh my god.
So those are the best episodes of season 1, people.
Yep. We're going to move on to favorite characters. I'm going to start this one off. I really dig Blitzwing just because mainly I dig the random Blitzwing. But I like how his alt modes are tied into his personality, and the Autobots eventually figure that out, and that's how they defeat him. I like Ratchet a little bit. He's growing on me. Optimus, I like that they've taken him and made him younger, but haven't made him as douchebaggery as Rodimus Prime was in G1. No. And of course, Megatron. I mean, it's Megatron. He could be a head. He could be, a tank or truck. He could be anything. He would still be menacing as all hell.
Now, this Megatron is distinctly different from any iteration of Megatron we've seen before, though.
True.
I still dig him.
Yeah. All right. So who are your favorite characters then, Michael?
For me, Ratchet really stands out. Basically, because this is I don't want to say the first time they've introduced the old medic. Previously, when you wanted to have let's say, a character that was old and crotchety and had been around and seen it all, you looked at Cup.
Yeah.
And here it's like, well, we don't have a Cup, but we can have Ratchet be Cup, except he's kind of Dr. Cup.
That's a good one.
But this
Dr.
character
Cup with wheels. Exactly.
But this characterization keeps coming up. I mean, we see it again in the movie. The Bay movie. We see it again in Transformers Prime. Basically, you got this old crotchety doctor. Mm-hmm. And, the classic Ratchet, the G1 Ratchet, wasn't like that at all.
No.
He was kind of...
Ironhide was more...
Ironhide was more like... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, Ironhide wasn't as old and crotchety as Cup.
No.
Cup takes the cake, right? But yeah, I mean, this Ratchet is more of an Ironhide than a Ratchet.
That's a theme for this whole show, is they like to bring in these new characters or these same characters, but then give them a different character's personality.
Right. Well, yeah.
Optimus Prime is Rodimus Prime. Ratchet is Ironhide or Cup. And then what was the other one? I think Prowl was more like Hound. In my opinion.
I'll buy that. I think that they were leaning more toward, classic. What do they call it? Like, I don't want to say iconic characters, but they're going for almost like a trope, almost the same tropes that they borrowed against for Teen Titans. Bumblebee being Beast Boy and Bulkhead being Cyborg, et cetera, et cetera. But the thing with Ratchet, though, is not only is he, not only do they start off with this new characterization for him that persists over time since then, but he also gets the best backstory. He was old. He's old now, but when he was young, he was in the war. He was, field technician or field medic and treating RC and fighting lockdown and all these things. I mean, it's stuff that hasn't been introduced yet, but he's been around. He's got a lot of backstory.
Backstory's good.
He might get some of the best backstory out of the whole series, to be honest. And we've only seen a little bit of it yet. Not to give too much away for Kevin, but yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, but no, I mean, he's probably one of the standout characters.
I agree. He's been given the most attention so far as character development out of the Autobots.
What do you think, Kevin?
I tried really hard to come up with an Autobot that I liked, and
can't do it.
I really can't do it. I'll give like a half of like to Bulkhead and a half of like to Ratchet. Ratchet, like for the reasons you just said, he's had the most character development. He seems like the most complex character so far. And I don't even know why I say Bulkhead, but he doesn't annoy me as much as the other ones do, I guess. Not yet, at least. If I had to pick
hear my bad so often, right?
Yeah. If I had to pick my three favorites, they'd all be Decepticons. Number 3 would be Megatron, just because I like this version of Megatron, and it's just kind of cool to see how he's developing. Second would be Black Arachnia. Even though we just got the one episode, it was pretty cool. The transformation, I liked what they did with her backstory. My favorite character so far is Lugnut. I can't really explain it other than he cracks me up. He legitimately makes me laugh in almost every episode he's been in. And I don't know why, but he just strikes a chord with me. So Lugnut's my favorite character so far in Season 1.
I don't see him as being very comedic.
For some reason, he makes me laugh. The episode where he's talking to Megatron, but Starscream can't see him, can't see that he's talking to Megatron, and he thinks he's talking to himself. Like, I don't know. There are some very funny parts in that.
Now I thought Starscream was funnier in that one. There's some really funny Starscream moments. I mean, Starscream's a little more comedic than he really should be, but
I don't know. I just like Lugnut. I can't explain it. Maybe I'll be able to explain it later in another season.
We'll have to ask General Techno about that and see what he says. Get the deep discussions about the finer points of Lugnut.
Yeah. He takes obsession to a whole new level. But anyway, Steve, what are your favorite characters so far?
I would have to say that my favorite characters are, Optimus Prime. just because it's a different take on them. They've never gone this direction with one before. They're always, militaristic. They know pretty much everything. And this one, he's, basically doesn't know shit. He's useless. Which is refreshing, to say the least. I like Ratchet just because the same reasons you guys said, crotchety old man. And it's quite nice to see, I don't know. And I know they carried over a lot of the animated characters to TF Prime in some regards. Like Ratchet, Bulkhead, Bumblebee, in a sense. So, I mean, it's kind of, they obviously get something right in this show with those characters. But, and, of course, you can't go without saying Megatron and Starscream are definitely... Like, Starscream, of course, is more G1 in this than some of the previous renditions. But Megatron is definitely something totally different that we haven't seen in Transformers since Beast Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'd have to say those are my favorite characters thus far.
Yes. Getting into favorite moments for me, in Megatron Rising, when Megatron just throws down. I mean, he kicks the Autobots' asses all over the place. That was awesome. In the very beginning of this season, when Starscream sent Megatron to his doom. And then, of course, in Megatron Rising, when Megatron gets his revenge on him. You interrupted my speech line. I love that. That's awesome. The only good thing I will ever say about Bumblebee was when he was dressed up as the vampire and he was crawling all over Bulkhead. I thought that was a little bit funny. And anything with Lockdown is great. What about you, Steve? Favorite moments?
Probably where Soundwave got to have the giant body.
Yeah.
Just because it was weird seeing him go from this itty-bitty little drone to this gargantuan robot that pulled tentacles to get machines to put him together. Just, that was kind of strange. I like Megatron getting thrown back together, of course. I like his 3D element that they had, basically showing his skeletal remains to Lugnut.
Yep.
I like Prime's freaking hammer when he goes, or not his hammer, his axe when he goes and uses it against Megatron or just whatever. It's just, I don't know. That's such a badass thing that he's got this time around.
And my axe.
You can kiss my axe.
Twice.
I don't do a very good Gimli, so.
What about you, Kevin? What are your favorite moments from season 1?
This is hard. I had a couple small ones that are just kind of more G1 nods or whatever, but I liked what I'm calling Hector Ramirez news reporter take. I mean, that's what it seems like to me. I'm not saying that's exactly what they intended to do, but he's appeared a couple different times, and I just remember seeing him in the old school Transformers, G.I. Joe, and a couple different other 80s shows, so that was kind of cool. The little appearance of Kremzeek.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I liked seeing that. Back from the first opening 3-episode, whatever you want to call it, the way that they began working on bridges and at the end of the episode they ended working on bridges, I like full circle moments, so I liked that. As far as like some bigger moments, obviously when Megatron comes to life, that's something comes into his new body, that's kind of a cool moment. My 2 favorite moments from season 1, though, number 1 would be, like I said before, when Lugnut and Starscream were having the conversation where Lugnut's talking to Megatron in his head and Starscream doesn't know it. I just think that's a hilarious bit between the two of them. And then the other one, probably and this might be why I put Bulkhead as one of my favorite characters, was just for this moment, but when Bulkhead has no body, I actually thought that was hilarious.
Kind of cool.
Like the interaction between him and Bumblebee while Bulkhead has no body, I didn't expect to like it, but I really liked that scene. So that was probably my favorite moment of the whole season.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like the giant Bulkhead head walking around on the tiny little Tutorbot body. That was funny.
Yeah.
What about you, Michael? What else did you like from season 1 for favorite moments?
I liked the very brief appearance of Professor Princess.
God.
I just dig this as a character. I didn't actually do this. I was thinking about it, but there's a scene in the Phineas and Ferb movie where Isabella is riding a
no, don't you even dare! Shut up. Move on.
She's riding a giant rocket-powered unicorn, and I was actually going to take a clip from that and put a little.
Don't even desecrate Phineas and Ferb.
Put a little mask on her and make her look like Professor Princess.
No.
Do it.
And send it back
no.
to. What do you think of Professor Princess now? Because there's no way that he'd be able to go, oh, okay, well, you can't diss on Isabella. What you doing? Oh. No way not to like that.
What else did you like?
I liked the scene of Blast to the Past where at the end Grimlock transforms.
Yeah,
that was great.
That was great. Yeah,
I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is going to be cool. Well, so okay, I'd have to go with the old standby. I liked it when Megatron got his body back. The whole reformatting, and he basically reformats the entire lab into his body and then bursts out the roof and goes, "Ha ha! Your asses are now mine." No, I like that a lot. I liked at the end of Along Came a Spider, where, and Kevin's going to hate this, but I kind of liked it when Black Nickname cried. But not just that, but the whole reveal the whole episode they've been beating it over your head. Oh, she's Elita 1. But when it was revealed to Optimus Prime, and he suddenly recognized and said, oh my God, oh crap, that scene was really cool. And it just kind of lent a vulnerability to her. And then culminating at the end when she cries. And again, she's totally able to cry because she has an organic half, But, and again, she's been through a lot. She deserves a good cry. But it was just so unexpected, and it was really nice. And it was a nice chunk of character development for her. And it's too bad that we don't see much more of her until much later.
Yeah. I only have 2 least favorite moments because the least favorite moments weren't even in the script until Kevin said, I added them. Bumblebee's hard character. I know he gets better, but I just cannot stand him in season 1. And this show kind of goes to prove that power corrupts absolutely. Anything with the key, enough said. I mean, seriously.
That is an understatement. I have perused.
Oh God!
All of my notes.
We do not want to be here all night,
no.
you need to keep it to a top 10 list.
I don't have very many. I've perused all my notes, and I have come up with the for sure worst moments of season 1. And they're just small moments.
Okay.
You already talked about any moment involving the key, but the creme de la creme was the keyhole in the toilet. So that's a terrible moment of season 1.
We've already had feedback on that, and it proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that there should be a keyhole in the toilet.
Yeah, just everybody needs a toilet key.
And for listeners who may just have started listening to this show, first of all, go back to episode 0 and start from the beginning. Second of all, if you want to, get the context of what Michael just said, go back to episode 5 and listen to, what was the episode? The one with the Dinobots and Meltdown.
Total Meltdown?
Yeah, no, I think it was Lost and Found. I don't know. No, Survival of the Fittest.
Yeah,
Survival of the Fittest. That's what it was. What else, Kevin?
My second one would be the entire wrestling match that Bumblebee is involved with.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Third would be, and like I said when we talked about this episode, it's the history teacher in me, but the incorrect alignment of calling it dinosaurs from the Jurassic period and then showing a bunch of dinosaurs that are not from the Jurassic period. That bugged me. Another one would be a dog named Sparkplug.
That rocked.
And my last one would be Black Arachnia crying. It's not because she didn't deserve to have an emotional moment. It was because of the actual tears coming out of her eyes.
Because she's not half organic?
Still.
Would you rather she cried like webbing or something?
No, I'd rather she not cry. I'd rather she like broke down to the point, like maybe she like went to a knee, or maybe she like kneeled down, or maybe she like showed emotion in a way other than crying. Would have been fine for me. It goes to another point which I'll bring up later, but those are my least favorite moments.
What about you, Steve? Least favorite moments?
Any moment that a human appears.
Okay, well, the only exception I make to that is Spike and Carly.
Any moment a key is involved, any moment a human appears.
Any moment
You're
that
left with
toilet
2
appears.
episodes.
I think I smell a drinking game here.
Oh, God.
Transformers Animated, the drinking game.
Take a drink.
But yeah, that's that, and the fact that this season is overall the least interesting part of the entire 3 seasons.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, you already went, didn't you, Michael? For least favorite?
I don't think I did.
No.
I don't remember.
You have any least favorite moments?
I liked them all.
He has been
Up
drinking
until we
the
get-
Kool-Aid.
Yeah, up until we get to least favorite episodes. I mean, individual moments, I liked everything. Episodes, there's some that shine more than others, and some that don't shine at all.
Yes. Getting into least favorite characters, for me, Bumblebee. I said a second ago, he's just a dick. That's all it is. Bulkhead, why did they create this character for the show? Why couldn't they have brought in like a Prowl, or why couldn't they have brought in like a Blue Streak or a Sunstreaker and Sideswipe? Anything but Bulkhead. I mean,
I do agree with that point. I always hate it when you have a library of hundreds of characters. Why you have to invent a new one?
Yeah.
Well, again, I think it's because of the tropes. You have to have your Beast Boy. You have to have your giant hulking guy who's really strong, but not really agile.
Out of the hundreds of characters that were in Transformers, the original, there wasn't any that fit that.
Well,
mold.
what Michael is saying is that because
Warpath.
it could. I know
he comes later, but
okay. But what Michael is saying is because most of the
Brawn.
creators or most of the crew on this were on Teen Titans, that's where Bumblebee and Bulkhead as Cyborg.
No, I know. I'm just saying. I think Brawn or Warpath. Or I know some of them make a little appearance later on, but they could have been main characters in this form.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, I could totally see a Brawn actually, but he's at that point. At that point they had already lost the copyright, the trademark to Brawn, so they would end up having to call him X-Brawn again, or something like that.
True.
Like in Robots in Disguise. But I don't think I would have been happy to have classic G1 Brawn be portrayed as kind of, dopey and clumsy.
Yeah.
Sure, he's really
Well,
strong.
no, you would just throw out, like, if you didn't use
Hoist.
Bulkhead, you would throw out that entire character. You would use whatever other characteristics.
Again, I would say no, because there's these character tropes that they're adhering to.
What about
They want the big,
guy?
dopey, strong guy.
What about the green construction vehicle guy? That I lost my mind on. Not Hoist, but
Hoist was the green one.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grapple was the yellow one.
Hoist could have done it.
No.
I don't know.
Prowl. Prowl needs to stop throwing his beliefs all over the fucking place.
Prowl needs to be renamed Mirage Hound.
I would have accepted a Mirage if they would have named him.
Come on, Prowl was supposed to be the freaking the militaristic guy of the group.
He's supposed to be he is a police motorcycle, but he's supposed to be he's supposed to be the policeman of the group. And finally, for me, least favorite characters. I will never like this character. I don't care how many other people like it. I don't care if there is one fanboy out there that obsesses over him that he has to have like
Springer?
6 different Puggle formers of the same damn character. Lugnut.
I
I fucking hate Lugnut and his constant pontificating. Oh
Love
my
it.
god.
So wrong.
I would gladly deal with Inferno saying my queen every 5 seconds than fucking Lugnut.
Okay, tell us how you really feel.
I just did.
Get it all out.
He wants to be
Kevin, least
fucking
favorite
Lugnut.
characters.
Least favorite characters, I could almost list all the Autobots. But mostly Prowl, only for the fact that that was one of my favorite. That is one of my favorite characters of all time in the Transformers history, and this is not Prowl. They should have named him something else. Bumblebee, like you said, is a jackass, and I hate Rodimus Prime in this.
You mean Optimus?
Oh, I'm sorry, Optimus Prime. Yeah. As far as Decepticons, the only one I can't stand is Blitzwing, and that's mainly because
He's the only one most people like.
I'm so distracted by when he talks to try to come up with what accent he's trying to do in that one face, because it's nothing I've ever heard in my entire life. And I like the story about how he got his alt modes, and I like that he has different faces with different voices, but something about him bugs the shit out of me. I don't know. I'll take Lugnut over Blitzwing any day.
It should have been Astro Train, god damn it. But anyway, Steve, least favorite characters?
Octane.
I don't like Bulkhead. I don't like Bumblebee. I don't like Blitzwing. I don't like Lugnut. I don't like the Dinobots.
Why are you watching the show again?
I hate the humans because better
I forgot
times
the
come.
humans. Damn it.
Let me see. Oh,
I changed my least favorite characters to every human hero or like one off person that they brought in.
The villains. Yeah.
Yes, the human villains.
You
Those
can't
are my least
make it a blanket all humans because
okay.
you've got,
I
like,
hate
the
all human
Except for
villains.
Colossus.
No, the construction workers are
Prometheus
awesome.
Black was alright.
I hate
Yeah, he was cool.
all the villains of the humankind. I don't like
Spike
Sorry.
and Carly and Daniel.
I can deal with that. They were a one shot.
Sparkplug the dog.
They keep coming back.
They keep coming back, but they don't really serve a purpose.
They don't do anything. They're just like there for window dressing, but it's cool to see them.
Yes.
But yeah, I think those are the characters I hate so far. This list will grow.
Wow. Michael, least favorite characters from season 1?
I don't know. You know, I hate to say it, but I'm not terribly fond of Bulkhead.
No,
Just
most people
because-
aren't.
I think none of us are.
Well, yeah, I mean, just because he is.
I liked him
big and
without a
dumb and
body.
clumsy.
I like him in TF Prime.
I liked him if they would have just kept him with just the head.
He was ahead of his time. So basically, if Kevin Michael Richards had done the voice here for
I think I could tolerate him much more.
Yeah, if he wasn't constantly tripping over himself.
Yeah,
think that
if
might
he
be-
wasn't playing Patrick from SpongeBob, I could get past him.
And see, that's one of the coolest, regardless of Bulkhead's characters, his characteristics, that's one of the coolest things about this show. Patrick is an Autobot, SpongeBob is a Decepticon.
Yes.
I'm kind of bothered by the Dinobots. Not so much Grimlock, because he actually speaks.
They got cool robot forms that are wasted.
Well, exactly. It's like, why? Again, why are they even there?
Is that where the whole thing about having? Is that where the whole thing about having characters not talk started in the Transformers history?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
There are fantastic episodes of like Samurai Jack that are awesome.
No,
that
I
have
mean
dialogue at all.
No, I mean the Transformers characters that don't never speak.
Oh, I don't know. I hope not.
I don't recall that ever happened in G1 or Beast Wars.
I think it wasn't until the movie where it's like, oh, we can't afford a voice actor for Bumblebee, so he'll just talking old Star Trek, voice clip sound.
I interrupted your next pick though for a character. I'm sorry, Michael.
I'm sorry. Who did I say?
Something after whatever we just talked about.
Oh no, I was talking about the Dinobots and the fact that 2 of them don't even speak. And in the Rise of Megatron 1, they make it a point to reveal to Optimus Prime that they're alive still and go to the island, and they try to recruit their help. And not only do most of them not speak, but they don't actually do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't show up at the end and pitch a hand against Megatron, despite the fact that they're on Dinobot Island. So it's like, why did they even introduce them here? Or I shouldn't say that. Why did they even show up in Megatron Rising at all? And secondly, why the hell don't they talk?
Agreed.
Yeah. So that's my main, kind of nitpicks. There's really not enough Decepticons to really complain about them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hate Lugnut with quite the ferocity that Blanchard does. I mean, honestly, they show up in, 2 episodes?
Yeah.
I don't think it's that big of a deal, really.
We'll be late.
Starscream shows up more often, but I like Starscream.
Yeah, Starscream's good.
Yeah, I mean, he's not my favorite, but, I dig him.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that about covers it. Oh, as long as we're covering, worst characters there, I want to throw in Nanosec.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is the number 1, maybe.
Yeah,
Worst
I
character
like
in the season.
Yeah, exactly. number one worst character. I like some of the other. I'm not a total human villain hater. I like some of the other ones. I kind of dig Angry Archer. Just because he's a unique character. It's really cool. It'd be easy to say, oh, well, that's Green Arrow, but no, he talks like a Ren Fair reject. It's awesome. I like Professor Princess. She was in there all of 2 minutes, and for some reason everyone hates her for it. Because she distracts from the rest of the episode. It's like she had 2 minutes on screen. I don't see the big deal. But Nanosec had the entire episode, and he was just kind of annoying. I was kind of hoping he'd die at the end, really. But,
He did in my mind.
He may as
He
well.
comes back.
Well, he's dead in my mind, so that's okay.
He comes
with
back.
Sword, which is
He'll
what
be
bothers me.
reincarnated.
They cloned him. He's like, what was his name? Nino Sexton II. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nino Sexton Mark II.
Second.
What did you want to say, Kevin, earlier?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. Moving on to least favorite episodes.
Ooh.
Wait. You cannot say all of them. Wait. For me, I just have 4. Number 4 would be Nanosec.
That's a third. That's a third of the episodes you didn't like.
I had mine down at 2.
Well, I'm not spending too much time on these damn things. So, number 4 would be Nanosec. Number 3 would be Headmaster. Number 2 would be Survival of the Fittest. And the number 1 worst episode in the entire season, Nature Calls.
Disagree.
What?
You like
disagree.
Nature Calls?
No, I disagree that that's the worst episode of the entire season.
No, Nature Calls is the worst episode of the entire season.
I don't know about that. Nanosec might be the worst episode.
There's so many pieces of shit, but there's 2 that smell worse than the rest. My second worst is Total Meltdown. That episode.
What?
I hated that episode. There was so many problems with that episode. The writing dialogue was terrible. They had a wrestling match with Transformers involved, and there was just inconsistencies in the plot. I didn't like it.
I like the villain. How could you not see?
No, the villain. That's the
Meltdown as a
best
cool
human villain. That is the best human villain that we've had.
Yeah.
But it's tarnished by the rest of the episode. But no, the worst, hands down, the worst episode of the entire season was Nanosec.
Yeah. I buy that.
I don't even want to talk about it because it'll make me mad.
Steve, least favorite episodes?
Least favorite episodes?
Yeah.
You want me to list them?
You cannot say all of them. You must have some favorites in there somewhere. But yeah, I don't know, top 3 least favorites.
Okay. Nanosec.
Yes.
And... Headmaster.
That was also awful, yes.
I liked Headmaster.
Boo. And... Home is where the spark is.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Mike,
one.
how is When Nature Calls worse than Nanosec?
Nature Calls is worse because that's Prowl, and everybody's saying you have to, that's the whole message of nature versus technology, and saying that, oh my God, what if you never had these machines anymore? What would you do? And it's like, stop pushing your beliefs on us, God damn it.
I think I struck a chord.
No, not really. Michael, least favorite episodes from season 1.
I'm going to have to round out the consensus with Nanosec.
You're alone, Blanchard.
Exactly. with the exception of maybe introducing another human villain, Nanosec really didn't do anything to progress the story. It's just another one of Megatron's attempts to regain his body that fail. I want to say the only redeeming factor of that is that Bumblebee gets his booster rockets, which look really cool on the toy.
Yeah.
And he hasn't had them before or after. But it's like, hey, they're on the toy, which means we have to somehow get them on his body in the cartoon. So they throw this whole giant seeming piece of crap story around the booster rockets to get them in there. And I want to say Nature Calls is a bad episode too, but there's one thing that redeems Nature Calls, and I'll sum that up in 2 words. Zombie robots. When the space barnacles get them and they turn into zombies, that is awesome. I like that. I did like. I don't like how they resolved it. I don't like how they got to that point. But I dig the zombie robots.
Nature Calls is one of those episodes that I can't put it as my worst episode because I almost just ignored that it happened because it seemed like so pointless to me. But it didn't piss me off like Nanosec did.
Yeah, and at the end they find Megatron's body. So Megatron, after like 4 attempts, finally gets a body.
Yeah.
Which leads us to the end of the season, which did rock.
Yes. So, Kevin, overall thoughts, season 1.
All right. Transformers Animated Season 1. I obviously came into this, like most people did back in the day when it first aired, worried about the designs and worried about the look. I have gotten used to the look of the actual Transformers. The look of the humans still sucks to me. I just don't like the designs on the humans. I don't like the way they make them look. I do like the backgrounds and some of the scenes and stuff like that. Something about the humans I don't like. I know I mentioned this before, and I think Michael responded. I don't like the anime hyperdrive look that happens when we go to fight each other. I know that's a staple of anime, but I can't stand it. When it's just all different colored diagonal lines in the background and then a transformer in the foreground. I don't like that.
It almost seems lazy, really.
It's like, why couldn't you have some of the background in there? And like, you could blur the background. You could do something crazy with the background, but just to put diagonal lines of color, I don't know. So those are my biggest issues with the look of it. As far as actual storytelling and whatnot, like I said with Black Arachnia Crying, my major problem so far is the human traits that the Transformers have. We've seen them sleep. We've seen them cry. I think we've seen them eat and drink. I don't know. It doesn't bug me enough that I would like stop watching the show, but they're just minor things where we've never seen this type of stuff before, and I just don't know how I feel about it yet. I may grow to like it, but I'm undecided at this point, I guess. There's a couple times, going back to the look, where the Transformers look like they're made of rubber instead of metal, with the way they bend and the way they move, that bug me. There's the consistent use of, let's just throw a random plot line or a plot background like a Halloween or birthday party or this event or that event.
Well, Halloween, I will say, had a specific point, though.
No, I understand the point, but it just seems like they're coming up with all these different like events or special days and then throwing a Transformer story around it, which seems lazy to me. I love the way they've done the backstory so far. They haven't done a lot of them, but I love what we have gotten for backstories with Black Arachnia and Optimus Prime, with Ratchet and Lockdown and stuff like that. So the backstories have been excellently done for the most part so far, and I love that. I guess the only other issues I have number one, the whole Autobot alloy and Destronium. I don't want to get into it, but I just don't like the fact that we're saying that Autobots and Decepticons are made of two different things.
Well, now, I did think about that when you said it originally. I didn't think of this. If you go back to G1 and you go back to, I think it's Five Faces of Darkness, where the Quintesson...
You're not going to quote me Five Faces of Darkness.
Hold on. In the when Rodimus goes back into the Matrix, they say the Autobots were one product line, the Decepticons were another product line. So think of it.
Still made of the same metal, though.
I don't know.
The toys are all die-cast. Come on. I'm just kidding. And my biggest problem, this is the last thing I'll say about Season 1, and the main reason why I don't like Season 1, besides all the humans and the key, was the whole setup of Sari being the guardian of the key. It just bugs me as a central aspect of the entire story of Season 1, that you have a little girl holding the most important piece of Cybertronian equipment, or whatever you want to call it. And I'd hate how they handled it, where they finally wised up and said, maybe one of the Transformers should watch that, which is what they should have done to begin with. And then they write that into the story that that's how Megatron gets the key, is when the Transformers are finally protecting the key instead of Sari. I just don't like that whole spiel.
But what if she's not a real little girl?
I don't care. It's still stupid.
Steve, overall thoughts, Season 1.
Agree with Kevin.
You cannot cop out like that.
Yes, I can too cop out.
Michael, anything to add?
I agree with Kevin. Well,
yes!
Actually, I had I had something I wanted to throw out there too. Is that people complain about, when I say people, I'm looking at Kevin. People complain about the way that some of the characters look, like the human characters. Maybe the way they're animated, they don't look right. When they when she screams, half her head is like her mouth. Yeah. And I kind of get it that's the style, especially if you're a fan of the Teen Titans. That's the style, right? You're used to it by now. It's not quite as anime as the Teen Titans, but it's close.
Yeah.
But the saving grace for the art here is the backgrounds.
Yeah, the backgrounds.
All the backgrounds are fully realized. They're all painted. It's gorgeous. It's just really, really good stuff. And it can be a little disconcerting when you have the maybe rubbery Transformers in front of these gorgeous backgrounds.
That's, I think, my major problem.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't even notice it, but if you just after like the fifth viewing, right? If you just forget that the robots are there, that the people are there, and you look behind them, it's really sharp.
I forgot one other thing I want to throw in there too that I really liked, and I agree with everything Michael just said. Another thing that I really like is the weaponry used so far in Season 1. I like Prime's axe and his bolus and some of the other weaponry that's being used. I do like that.
Megatron's swords are kick-ass.
Yeah. I haven't seen any weapons that I haven't liked.
Yeah, I like the fact that the weapons are integrated.
Yeah.
In a sense that, and it kind of reminds me back of, oh, damn it, I can't remember his name now. The writer, the one who basically said that if you are a weapon, you don't need to have weapons.
Flint Dille?
No. He wrote for Beast Wars.
Oh, it's either Larry DiTilio or Bob Forward.
No.
Marv Wolfman?
Oh, the other guy.
There's not too many more that have major roles in Beast Wars.
Well, maybe
unless you're talking about Robert Skir from Beast Machines.
Bob Skir. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. My apologies to Bob Skir. I totally blanked. But yeah, Bob was the one who said, if you are a weapon, you don't need weapons. If you can turn into, a tank, you don't need a gun.
Or if you can turn into a gun, you don't need a gun.
Exactly. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but basically, you don't see Bumblebee hefting around a bazooka because he can, slam his arms together and make stingers.
Although I will say the gun that Optimus Prime carried around in the last live-action movie was pretty kick-ass.
Did he carry that gun around, or was
I
that
don't know,
part
but he dropped it at the end after he used it, and that thing was huge.
the giant Gatling guns?
Yeah, or no, he had his regular gun, his G1 style, whatever you want to call it, shotgun rifle thing.
Yeah, but he had these big old Gatling guns hanging off his arms. I thought,
Yeah, that's a little bit. He had some massive weapons, but I'm getting us off track.
Well, later on, in not the spoiler, but Prime gets some pretty cool weapons too on top of everything
I will
he's
look
already
forward
got.
to
But
that.
he's got a lot of weapons. He's got his axe. He's got his foam sprayers. He's got
Bolas
his
are
ropes.
awesome.
Yeah, you got bolas. I don't really consider bolas to be a very good weapon.
I just like it because it reminds me of Panther and Thundercats.
Okay, I'll buy that. Sure, 2 points to Thundercats.
Or not Panther, excuse me, Tigra in the original Thundercats. My bad.
Oh no! See, I didn't like that. Tiger had like a whip type of thing that looked like a set
He
of
had the
nuts.
bolas. Somebody had the bolas with the balls at the end of the rope thing or whatever it is.
Yeah,
one of the
somebody had. I don't remember. I think it was Panthro.
Oh, I
Panther
gotta
had nunchucks.
rewatch. Yeah, but Panther had nunchucks.
No, but they all. We're getting off track here, but they all had secondary weapons. Yes, Panthro had the nunchucks, but I think he also had the bolos because Panthro was the one that invented all the damn things.
Genius.
Yeah.
Papa Cosby.
There we go. Okay. So there's that. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. All right. Back on track here. What were we talking about?
I don't know. I
Your
can get us
final thoughts on season 1.
Yeah, I totally agree with Kevin.
I know Kevin doesn't like that this Optimus is young and he's more Rodimus type, but I
don't agree with that.
I kind of like that they went with a younger Optimus and they did it a little bit differently. He does have his own backstory.
I could stomach the younger Optimus if he didn't have his pity parties like Rodimus used to. That's my problem. I don't know if
nearly as bad as Rodimus.
No.
I mean, Rodimus, like, entire episodes where I'm not as good as Optimus Prime.
Yeah,
You know,
it wasn't
and-
quite that bad.
Oh, it was. Yes, it was.
No,
And-
I'm saying this one isn't quite that
And,
bad.
well, see, and that's the
Optimus isn't like
thing.
that.
At the very beginning of this episode, the only time this season that we see the hierarchy of Cybertron, that being Ultra Magnus and Sentinel Prime, the dick that he is, the only time that we see the hierarchy in this series is the very beginning of the episode, and the only thing Ultra Magnus says to Optimus is, "Don't try to be a hero, Optimus. It's not in your programming." I mean, that's really the only thing. So, I mean, you don't have this Optimus, going around like Rodimus did in season 3 in Rebirth, saying, "Oh my God, I suck."
No, they're
he's
just
not
little
nearly
hints.
as emo, but it comes
Yeah.
across in his leadership style where everything he says is kind of halting. Like, okay, all right, guys, we're gonna
When
do
Sari's
this,
given
right?
direction,
Yeah, exactly. Sari's leading, and he's like, "All right,
something's wrong here."
guys, all right, let's do this, okay? Yeah." Yeah, I mean, it's clear that he's a very young leader. He has a ways to go. They've stated already, he is an Academy bot. They haven't actually explained how he washed out or why he washed out. And again, that's a lot of backstory that comes later.
Sweet.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate the differences, the liberties they took with these characters and how different they made them from G1. And I don't have a problem with that at all. I mean, I like this new Optimus.
Yeah.
maybe I'll grow to like him.
The animation style for me, just in general, there are certain aspects, like when I'm really looking for issues with it, there are certain aspects that I cannot stand. Like I found a screenshot that the animation is so awful. The modeling on Bumblebee in car mode is just, he looks like he's a scrunched up Volkswagen. That's what he looks like. But in general, I don't dislike it. There are certain things, sometimes the explosions are a little bit too much. But other than that, the style of the animation is great. And I think that throughout this series, as we go along, even though we may have one or two one-off episodes, the overall story of these Autobots, of these Decepticons, it ties all back together. I mean, by the time season 3 and all the continuity and all the backstories start happening, it really made me look back at these first, 16 episodes, and really see, oh yeah, I can see that now. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, especially the next season, once you watch it, you look back and you see where all the building blocks were laid ahead of time in season 1. You can see how everything was planned ahead and builds up. The only
thing, and I said this last episode, the only thing I wish that they would have done with this season is have Megatron Rising Part 1 be the season finale. And just have it end on the cliffhanger of, oh shit, Megatron is alive, he's in the sky, and just end it. Because Part 2, it picks up and it resolves itself immediately. And then when we jump into Season 2 next time, it's like, oh, well, all this happened and all that happened, and that's great. But I just didn't feel like there was enough of a cliffhanger for Season 1.
There's no sense of urgency at the end.
Yeah, not at all.
I agree.
But considering that there was no 6-month gap between Season 1 and Season 2, it's like, okay, next week, Season 2.
Yeah, that's true. Steve, anything to add before we go to the ads and all the breaks and all that stuff?
Nope.
Transformation Animation Podcast will be back after these messages. Hey, Tara Strong here, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Soundwave, jam that transmission! Rumble Frenzy, Ravage Ratbat, Eject, Operation Interference.
No, there will be no Operation Interference. I am TFG1 Mike, and you should be listening to my very first podcast, the TFG1 Podcast. 24 episodes covering the entire U.S. run of the 1984 Transformers cartoon. I also have a few supplemental episodes and an interview with Stan Bush. I bring in guest hosts who will be full-time co-hosts in Steve Megatron and fan of the show, now co-host Pecan Court Michael. So check out the TFG1 Podcast. You can find it on iTunes and the web at www.geekcastradio.com. Transform and roll out.
Welcome to my throne room, Future Tales. The Beast Unleashed podcast is over, not gone. You can hear more of this great podcast, discussing all the episodes of Beast Wars and Beast Machines on GeekCastRadio.com. We include voice actor and writer interviews with stellar hosting by Steve, Mike, and Michael. Head on over to iTunes or the net, or else I will send you my vehicles to extract your spark and destroy you. Yes.
Now back to Transformation Animation Podcast.
That's right, we are back. And before this episode, we recorded it today. Michael did his own video mashup of Transformers meets Jigsaw. What the hell did you do?
I was listening to the previous podcast that we did, specifically the one for Home is Where the Heart Is, or Home is Where the Spark Is. And,
Home is also where the heart is.
Yeah, home. Yeah, exactly. Home is where the saw is. But the scene where Megatron has taken over the warehouse and is basically immobilizing all of the Autobots and basically trying to kill them. There's a scene where Bulkhead is grabbed by the pinch your arms and put on a conveyor belt when he's gonna get his head smashed. And the comment that I had made was, how did Bulkhead end up in a Saw movie? And I thought, well, how cool would it be if I took, Jigsaw and stuck him in there and said, Bulkhead, I'd like to play a game. So I thought, this shouldn't be that hard to do. It probably took me about 3 hours to put together. And the sad thing is I didn't start until like 11 o'clock, so it was really, really late by the time I got done with it. And then I ended up going back and re-editing it. And it took more time, and I was really tired afterwards. But it turned out funny.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise, because it's like, okay, I've seen this episode. I know roughly where this falls into place, what's going to happen, what makes this different, and then, boom, it's Jigsaw. And he's like, hello, Bulkhead. It's like, oh, man. Oh, no way. And I kind of threw a twist in there and killed Bumblebee too.
That's excellent.
Yeah, I dug it. I thought it was cool. Probably nobody but us is actually going to see it, but
Well, I will put it in the post. I will link it in the post. God, if we ever get to interview Bumper Robinson, he's going to hate us.
He's going to hate you. Because you're like, Bumper, you've been a dick for like an entire season. What the hell?
All right. Thank you for joining us here on Transformation Animation Podcast. There's always get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com. Leave the show's feedback in iTunes. Please do this. Follow us on Twitter. The showing there is TFA Podcast. Mine is TFG1Mike. What is your Twitter, Steve?
SCP-21.
Michael?
Pecan CT Michael.
Kevin?
Optimus Solo.
Yes. Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/GeekCastRadio Network. Call the voicemail line. Tell us the show you're leaving a message for and your name. 502-526-5821. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Transformation Animation Podcast. I wish you'll join us next time when we'll be reviewing the first 3 episodes from Transformers Animated Season 2. Those being The Elite Guard, The Return of the Headmaster, and Mission Accomplished.
Oh, God.
No,
Yes,
this is
you
where
called?
it gets good. This is where it gets
Okay.
cool. Seriously.
Return of the Headmaster scares me, but okay.
Son of a bitch!
At that point, be a piece of shit. Right, hold on.
For now, I am TFG1Mike with
Michael Wilson.
And Optimus Solo.
And Steve Megatron Phillips.
We'll tap you again next week.
You.
Oh God, worst train wreck ever.
Burnt toast!
Okay, what's his malfunction? Technical glitch. It happens. A lot, actually.
It is not a glitch. It is Megatron, and he commands us to deliver him the key.
Megatron? Did you just say Megatron? Did he just say Megatron? There is no Megatron! Megatron is offline! Terminated! I did it myself! Saw it myself! You interrupted my